Thank you for joining us for this episode of Comply on the Fly with M3 and Karen B. Comply on the Fly is your trusted weekly resource for reliable insight and quick answers on common employee benefits compliance questions. Please note, this podcast and the contents herein do not constitute legal advice. Seek the advice of counsel for any employee benefits compliance-related guidance or strategy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karen B. And the Comply on the Fly question of the week is, must an employer offer COBRA to an employee that has been on the medical or dental insurance, but the group or the employer has not paid this employee for almost 2 years? Therefore, if they terminate this employee from the plan, will they be able to offer COBRA? The first phrase I zeroed in on is, the group has not paid this employee for almost 2 years. To me, that means the employee has not been working. So, of course, I then reread the question and it was stated that the employee has been on the insurance. Here is how I would approach this question. First, why is the employee still on the insurance when this employee has not been working for 2 years? As you may recall, insurance is a contract and contracts have requirements. One of the requirements of an insurance contract is that someone meets the eligibility requirements of that contract. Typically, someone who is not working for the employer is not eligible. Why? Because most insurance contracts require that someone is working a required number of hours to be eligible for the benefit. Usually, you will see that requirement at 30 hours, but some employees will have lower thresholds, such as 20 hours per week. If someone is not working, they are not meeting that eligibility requirement. 2, was FMLA or an approved leave involved? The only exception to the eligibility requirement of working a set number of hours would be if someone is on FMLA. In that case, benefits are protected as if the person was actually working the required number of hours to be eligible. And, of course, employers can have their own leave policies separate from FMLA. But employees can only remain on the coverage during those types of leave as active if there's been an approval from the carrier or stop-loss carrier. Otherwise, COBRA must be offered. In the question as presented, FMLA was not mentioned. Third, if not FMLA, then when should COBRA be offered? If a person had a reduction in hours, that is a triggering event under COBRA guidelines. The triggering event, the reduction in hours, would cause a loss of coverage under the plan because the person is no longer meeting those eligibility requirements. Those two things together, the triggering event and the loss of coverage, equals a COBRA qualifying event. And COBRA should have been offered 2 years ago. Fourth, if COBRA was not offered when it should it be offered now? In this particular situation, the person is an ineligible person on the plan. This is not a COBRA qualifying event. In addition, the person was on active coverage longer than what the COBRA maximum period of 18 months would have been. So my answer in this particular situation would be there is no offer of COBRA required. However, each situation is different. And if you are ever in doubt of what you should do in these sticky situations, you should consult with your own legal counsel. And that is your Comply on the Fly question of the week. Thanks for tuning in.
What's on your mind? If you have a pressing compliance question, send it to askkarenb@m3ins.com. We'll do our best to cover it in an upcoming episode. You can now follow and subscribe to Comply on the Fly on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Make sure to tune in next week and encourage others to join us.